Sorry, I'm still trying to figure out where the hell it's streaming from. So you guys are looking at what I'm looking at right now. Oh, right there. How the fuck do I get to this from... Wait, is that actually it? What? How do I get to this link? How the hell did you guys get to this link? Hmm. Well. Oh, cool. It actually sounds better too on my end. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe? Yes? No? Cool, there's a chat thing. And apparently... Cool. But it says 0 people are watching. Oh, I've got one. Haha! Shit. Okay, so it works for other people, but not for me. Awesome. Thanks, Arturo. Okay, so... Now that I know this works, how far... I want to know how far behind it is. There we go. Okay, so it's not actually that far behind. It seems like it's about a 3 or 4 second delay. Yo. Okay. Now that I know it works, I can start recording and figure out how to do this. Woohoo! That was a voice crack and a half. Just tell everybody it's up and running. Up and running, guys. Woo. Thanks for the help. Kind of sucks talking to yourself this whole time. I kind of wish that I could hear other people. It would make it, like, so much better just to hear people go, hey, what about this? Or hey, what about that? Instead, I'm kind of just sitting in my house talking to myself, which isn't really all that bad sometimes. It just means that I can sit here and pick my nose and nobody can say anything. Oh, I definitely have to redo that title art. FYI, if anybody wants to redo the title art for me, booyah. I'm totally cool with that. I'm not going to say no. Okay. Where did I leave off? Wait, Abe? I don't know if you're in here, but I really hope you're in here. You better be, especially with your fucking sword fight that you have. Yes, there is swearing, and I don't care. Y'all can suck it. Sorry. Once I know for sure if a couple people are not coming, then I'm just going to jump right in it. But there's some important stuff in here that some people could benefit from. Who has seen Arturo, Emily, A? Okay, whatever. Let's just go for it. One more refresh. And how far behind is the video still? Perfect. Okay, video's not that far behind. That is awesome. Okay, again, I'm still not animating to camera. I should probably start thinking about that soon, but I'm honestly not really all that concerned about it. I do have somebody who is going to teach me how to do 2D effects. They're going to basically take my sword slashes and show me how to do impact flashes and sword swings and a whole bunch of other cool shit. That's just so I can get the guns underneath the ground. I wish I was trying to figure this out the other day that I could tell what the hell these fucking things were. I honestly have no idea. I think they have something to do with the swords. It doesn't seem to be breaking anything, which is good. Host a Skype call on your phone. I could, but then my internet would be, like, exploding. Instead, I'm just going to alt-tab in between here, and every time somebody just says something, there we go. So I'll just look in here every once in a while. Okay. Pool all. I want to see what the playback speed is for you guys. I'm going to hit play in here a couple times. I just want to see what it does in YouTube, because I'm curious. Let's see, turn the controllers off. Just want to see how fast it plays. Actually, not that bad. It plays at a pretty good speed. Okay, cool. I'm cool with that. Now, like I said last time, the most important thing, and actually this is more for Arturo that I said last time, the most important thing that you got to remember is torque in the body. So I'm actually going to stop saying your name just in case somebody is ever watching this and they're like, "Oh, I want to find out who that guy was." So that'll be the last time I see your name, Arturo. Now, anyways, torque in the body. This and this always need to be twisted a little bit further away from each other. That is what gives your swings the amount of impact that you will have. So I need to go into animating on twos now. I should actually check and make sure, first off, that this is timed properly. So I am going to open that up very quickly and find out if it is at a good speed. It should be this one. So let's see. Now, when I'm watching this, I'm looking for a couple things. Basically, that stupid thing that they used to do in schools when they're like, "How many syllables is in this?" and you're like, fucking color, and you clap your hands at that. I'm looking for a beat in this, and for me, the cheesiest, corniest way to do this is to actually sit there and make sound effects to your animation while you're doing it, because that's how you'll get a good beat out of it. So if you're like whoosh, 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 then it's probably odds are it's going to look and feel pretty good as long as you animate it to that sound effects. So right off the bat, what I'm noticing is that his first swing is, I kind of want the middle one a little bit quicker and the last one to be a little bit slower in between the two. So I want this move to be quicker to there and then slower into the last one. So I need to adjust my timing for that. And whereabouts are we? There we go. Shit, that really isn't. Fuck, this is way better than Beam. Okay, anyways, so I want to have my timing go a little bit quicker in here. For anybody who has done anything actiony, the frames that I have in here, this should almost just be 2 frames in between, which is what I have. But from here to here should almost just be 2, maybe 1. Maybe 1. I might even just pop it from here to here, because that feels not too bad. The only reason I know that is just from experience, knowing that the spacing and swing should be rather large. As long as you have a nice enough settle in it, it's not that big of a deal. So from here to here, I could have a couple frames in between there. I'm going to worry about an in between in a minute. Right now, I just want to get the most of the timing in there. So this move to this move, this is a very quick move. So I'm going to take a little bit longer in my antic, and I might even just pop from here to there in maybe 2 frames, because that sword moves quite a bit. I do need to have a little bit of room in here. I think that's just going to be on 2s though, so I am going to slide that over, maybe 1 less. And that seems like a good speed. This move happens way too slowly. I only know because if I hit auto tangent, you'll see it. So I'm going to grab all of this and slide that over a couple frames. Should that be on 2s? That should almost, I might even just do an in-between in here and then actually delete a key so that it ends up being this. This is a key, then this is a key, and then this one might actually be right here. So it's kind of 3, and I'm just doing one at the very end. Now from there to there, that move should actually hit pretty hard. And then that swing, hold that swing for a couple frames. This should have 1 more frame in between it. And if we keep going, let's see, from here to here. I actually don't remember why I did that move, because his arm is going backwards, forwards, and then it doesn't keep. Actually, it does. Okay, so if I follow this move, I gotta fix that arm. It's popping to me. I know I did it intentionally, but because there's no breakdown on this elbow, it looks like a pop to me. There we go. This should be a little bit slower. this should happen pretty quickly. So I can take all that, slide that back a little bit. From here to here, I'm cool with that. I want to hold this pose a little bit longer, so that means that I'm going to take these, slide those over a bit, and I really want to sell how quick this move happens. I'm going to have one breakdown in between here, just for that foot to land, and that sword to be about part way, and then it's really going to hit that pose. And then I want to have this a little bit slower. This can take another frame or two to come back. This can take another frame or two to come back. And let's see, this needs another breakdown right about there. That will need one more breakdown in the middle, only on twos, so I can actually move these keys over. That's a little bit too far. One more over. This move can happen in 2. That move can happen in 2. And this needs a couple breakdowns. So, if I play that out, now it's 2 even, which to me is a big issue. So, playing it, I'm noticing it swing, 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 swing. And I don't want that. So again, I need to follow exactly what I was going off of before. Kind of a sound effect. So it's whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. So I can get my whoosh. And then it comes up. So not that long of a hold here. So we'll take that hold out. Whoosh, whoosh. So whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. There we go. Let's see that. No, still too long of a hold on that antic. So I'm going to take all this, and I'm going to slide that back. Still a little bit too long. It's right in here, so I'm going to bring that over. Whoosh. And then in here, I'm going to bring all that over. This is the most tedious part, honestly, but once you get this part done, the rest is pretty easy, because you know what frames you have to animate on, which is why I'm constantly telling people to animate in stepped. Because if you do too much in auto tangent, then you can't, there's not a lot of room to readjust your timing. So whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. No, still too slow. Whoosh, whoosh. You're going to get really sick of me saying whoosh. Whoosh. It's in here. Let's see, pull that over. Get rid of how long that happens for. So we've got whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. We can take that and shorten that a little bit more. We can take that and shorten that a little bit more. And I can take this and shorten that a little bit more. As I had it way out here and it keeps getting smaller and smaller. Yeah, that's starting to get there. Okay. Just so I can feel it out, I'm going to, about 95, I'm going to play last just from here to 95. I'm going to call that 20. Just see how that feels. And I am going to post this to Facebook just so people can watch if they really want to. Maybe, if that's the right one. Alright, close that, leave. And go back. I give up. I don't know what the link is. If somebody wants to post the link up, go for it. And okay. Woo. Oh, that's an I. Woo. Okay. Grab that QuickTime. Let's see how it looks. Oh, you know what? Didn't actually open the QuickTime. That's awesome. SPC drive Maya Cycles. And what the fuck is it? The movies. There we go. I'll just minimize that so I don't have to friggin' open it again. There we go. There, I'm okay with that. Perfect. Okay, so now that I'm okay with that timing, I'm going to save it, and we're going to just add a couple more breakdowns in the end. Uh-oh. I forgot about whoosh. Yeah, I bet you guys are getting sick of hearing me say whoosh. Alright, oh shit, I'm sorry, Marissa. I completely forgot to add you to that group. That's my fault. I apologize for that. Okay. Couple more breakdowns. Now let's see. I'm not too worried about this hold in the beginning. I'm going to show you guys a little trick that I do for these. It's super cheaty, and I really don't care. It works. It gets the jobs done, so that doesn't matter at all. Now, I am more worried about this move at the end that I went chintzy on last time. And it was from here to here. I need one more frame in here. So again, this is why I try and keep my keys all on 2s, and if I need to add another, I'll add another. But right now, what I want to do is, again, I'm going to select the COG and get the COG about halfway there. And open up to check and see what my spacing is like. And as you can see, it goes pretty small to very large. And then the spacing is about the same. So this is where I wouldn't actually hit my 50%. I'd probably go about 40. So as you can tell, the spacing is a little bit smaller, it gets a little bit bigger, and then way bigger, and then I can adjust these near the end. Also need to add my arc. And let's see, bring that out just a little bit. So we've got a nice arc in the COG now. Now that's it for the translates. I need to check the rotates. So we start rotating them forward here. Let's rotate them forward a little bit more here so we get some more drag. Alright, so I can turn the motion path off on that. Grab the chest. Now let's see. He was originally leaned back. He still should be leaned back a little bit, but still forwards. And then here we can really lean him forwards a little bit more as a breakdown. Okay, now for his head. Now again, I don't want to do too much with his head, like huge breakdowns, just going, oh, drag it down. You need to remember that he is still looking at what he is trying to slash at. So we need to keep his attention on it. So as much as you should have drag, you also got to remember that your character has to keep his eyes on what they're looking at. You can't just fucking bring their head down just because you need to do breakdowns and drag and all that other crap. There has to be a reason for it. Now, if he was closing his eyes and doing a huge, huge move of like a smear back, totally. And you could even get away with just like, well, not with this rig apparently, but you could totally get away with bringing their head forward and really dragging it. But this character I'm animating a lot more realistic, so I'm not going to do that. So let's get some animation on his shoulder. Apparently I didn't do any, so we're going to bring that up so it's got some drag on it, because again, it comes up, it should still be up. So from this motion it should be down, and then the body starts to go down, so it should continue going up, and then it should continue dragging forwards. Now I can grab his arm, and it goes up, should continue going up, should continue staying up. And here we can drag it up. Here we can bring it down a little bit so it's like it's got some weight to it. Bring it around. Check it in the front view. Remember, all that motion has to continue moving forwards. So I'm watching the elbow as well, the spacing in it. Probably rotate that arm up a little bit. Oh, just an X. And maybe pull it back down around a little bit so it's kind of like he's whipping his arm around. Drag it. There we go. Slowly getting there. So I've got that one down. Now I need to worry about this foot. So that foot in this move. Again, this foot should not be moving, but I should have a little bit of, is that the right one? Yeah, toe roll to it. This foot should probably have a little bit of something on it, because we're putting that weight back on it. That's a little bit too much. I should take off a little bit of toe roll so it looks like he's flattening onto it. Actually, let's take all the toe roll off. Completely all of it. We grab his hips, because again, cannot forget about the hips. This should rotate forwards. Now his other arm. So again, I'm not just going to think about, okay, what happens in between these two frames? You cannot do that with your breakdowns. That is not how breakdowns work. You need to look at, when you're doing them on twos like this, you have to look at the entire animation as a whole in this whole area. So basically, what I mean by that is when he swings his arm around this way, that momentum from his arm swinging can't stop. There is going to be a little bit of resistance to it because of your muscles and such, but you have to remember that it is going to keep on moving a little bit. So, that being said, I'm going to rotate his shoulder over and up, and as his body starts to come down, I'm going to keep it up, and I'm going to start to bring it down. Actually, start bringing it down about here. So it's more of he is dropping it down. Okay, now as for right here, let's drop that down. Let's get this one about halfway and pay attention to where it came from and where it's going to. So it goes up, it continues going up. It's starting to come down, which means here it just start to rotate around. Here just start to come around this way. So I can break his elbow a little bit. I can rotate this up a little bit more. So we've got some drag on that sword. Here we can rotate that out. Alright. I want to actually keep that sword out, now that I think about it. But not breaking the hand. So I'm going to keep this elbow out. I'll keep it like he's keeping his arm straight. And I didn't think about that until now, and I should have. There we go. So we can add a little bit of drag to that. Ooh, wrong controller. A little bit of drag to that. So his arm is starting to come in. I need to actually rotate it back here a little bit, and rotate that back, and rotate that up. Not that far up, because now if I watch the tip of the sword, which is what I should be watching, got to make sure that it doesn't start to pop too much. We'll start that motion happening into the next move. The arm starts to come around, and this drags behind, and this drags behind, because this is a pretty big move. We can start to bring that around. So I'm completely changing keys almost, but that's... I have a bad habit of doing that, because I'm like, oh, you know what? This would look way better. Alright, I'm going to leave that for now. It's not 100% locked down, but I'm going to leave that particular spot for a minute, because I want to get this one in, because that is a very large move with no breakdown in it at the moment. There's one more person I want to send this to, and that is Sarah. I forgot about her. Sarah Solmy. Streaming. Alright. Oh wait, you guys can hear me. I don't need to type. Can somebody send this to Sarah Solmy if you get a chance? I'm not going back to Facebook on... It really, really slows down my computer. Oh, okay. So, again, like I said, there's a lot of movement happening here, and I have no breakdown. I need to fix that. So again, what I'm going to do, pop a key. Just dropping a key on it completely. I'm going to hit the motion path on my COG, and I'm going to hit the halfway. Now, the first thing that happens is, as you can tell, in the spacing. Now, this is an issue that I see in all of my classes, and it drives me batshit fucking crazy. They'll do that, and they won't look at their spacing now, because this is one of the issues that I see all the goddamn time. And I actually have my eyeball in my palm right now because it drives me nuts. If you look at the spacing, you've got this small dot. Then it starts to get bigger, and then it gets huge. And this is totally fine. We're okay with that. Where it gets bad is right fucking here. You cannot leave that like that because, one, you're going from this huge, huge gap of space to this tiny one to another one of the exact same size. It does not work like that. You cannot do that. And maybe you could if these were animated on ones, but they're not. They're all on twos. So you have to look at the spacing and the timing. And because it's all on twos, it don't work. You cannot do that. So that means that I'm either going to have to A, move this forward a little bit more so he is completely off balance, or B, I need to adjust this pose, which I actually very obviously clearly do need to. I also need to fix his broke-ass knee. And keep working on the spacing before I even touch the rest of the body. Because the one thing that I tell everybody, you need to animate your COG first. Your COG should be the first thing that moves nicely before you touch anything else. Anything else should always be your COG first. And this should come down a little bit. So I'm watching, oof, lands on that leg. Okay, so if I look at my spacing, small, a little bit bigger, and then it starts to get smaller in here, and then it pops again. So again, I need to take that and move that over a little bit more so that I am creating a bit of a difference in the spacing. So as you can see, it starts to get smaller near the end, but it's big in the middle. Small, big, small. You gotta remember that. If you don't, oh, it's gonna be bullshit. So, remember to do your spacing first and pay attention to your timing. You can't just look at the spacing and go, okay, the spacing works, and then have, because this will happen, you can't just have that spacing work and then look at this, because now if I grab that, it looks exactly the same because it's in stepped. And because it's in stepped, that spacing looks correct, but the timing is wrong, even though they're hella far away from each other. So, you have to remember to look at both. You can't just do one. I hope that is enough on spacing and timing, because it irritates the shit out of me. Okay. So I've got my spacing and the COG. I gotta plan out my foot, which apparently doesn't have enough bloody keys on it. Oh, it totally doesn't. I moved something. I way moved something. We need to control Z. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. You can fix that easy. There we go. Now everything is on the correct spot. That didn't make any sense that the foot wasn't moving. Alright, so we can move that halfway. Lift that foot up. Start to point that toe. And then, obviously, the other thing that we need to do is check its spacing. Because you cannot have it just doing that. Sorry, I keep alt-tabbing so that I can see if anybody is saying anything. And occasionally to hear my own voice, because that's awesome. It's totally not. I hate the sound of my own voice. Okay, so again, we need to check the spacing and the arcs of the foot. So, this foot has a huge, huge pop in the beginning. And I need to fix that. Now, this is one of my original key poses. Clearly, it don't work. So, what I want to do is have this foot. Let us see. I'm going to take this, and I'm totally going to do something ass backwards. I'm going to put this foot here, and I'm going to put the knee there. And I'm going to go to this pose. I'm going to put the foot here, and I'm going to put the knee there. And then I'm going to go here. I'm going to take the foot and the knee and put it there. Basically, I took every other key and copied it backwards, so that this foot takes longer. And oddly enough, it looks better. I just need to fix this, because this is hella broken. So we can take that, bring that back. How's the sound, by the way? I'll wait till I hear that so I can fix it. I can hear a couple like blah 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 blah. And there's gonna be even more now. Sound is okay. God, I should be in sound effects. It's amazing. Okay, nobody said anything yet. I'm gonna assume the sound is okay. Grab that foot, bring it back, get it unstretched. Some stretch is okay, so don't ever worry about some. Some is good. Just make sure that everything is following a nice arc and that it isn't too noticeable. Not bad. Perfect. Okay. Now, making sure that knee's in the correct spot, getting those hips in the correct place, which is rotating that forwards a little bit more. Actually, you know what? That is wrong. I'm going to pull it back so it looks like he's pulling back with his hips. There we go. So close. This pose, I'm not a fan of his leg. I'm actually going to adjust that a little bit. This I want further back. This I want further back. Watching the space of the foot, remembering that at some point it is going to have to start rotating outwards. So that needs to go that direction. That needs to go out in that direction. Actually, we'll drag the rest of the foot behind, and then we'll go forward one more, and we can drag this behind a little bit. Pointing that foot, grabbing that knee, that correct knee, getting the knee there. Actually, you know what? We'll drag the knee behind a bit. There. Now his COG is off a little bit. Because of all that work on the foot, the COG is off a little. So we'll keep working on the spacing in there. This should be a little bit further back. This should be a little bit higher. This should still be around here. That should still be there. Ah, shit, no. That should be there. And then I'm going to look at it from the front and make sure that he is on top of his correct foot. Not all the way on the correct foot, but enough that it looks like he's not going to fall over. Alright, grab that foot, this one right here, making sure that it's not doing anything stupid. Like right here, it's not moving. Let's get it part way. Here it should already be. I want him up on his toe still for this move, kind of like he's pivoting on it. So he lands on that back foot. This one he should be on that toe, and I want the rest of his foot to stay behind a little. Actually, you know what? We're going to get that foot back on the ground. I am making up so much of this right now, it is crazy. I probably shouldn't be, but it seems to be working. Alright, so I'm not going to worry about the rest of the body in that spot. I've got the bottom half done. I need to take this and move that over too so I can add one more in here. This time I'm not going to key the whole body. The reason being is I have confused myself, and this happens. I forgot what part of the arms that I didn't do, so what I'm going to have to do is actually select them and go into the graph editor, hit auto tangent, and check like this where I haven't animated, and it turns out that it's in between these keys right here. These are the ones that I just did. So that's how I'm going to have to check which ones that I haven't touched yet. So instead, I'm not going to key the whole body on these two poses. Instead, I'm just going to key the feet and the COG. and the hips, just so I can start working on these. So that foot lands. This foot is going to start coming up and landing in its next position. So we can get that over. Too much. You'll notice the foot is super broken in between here. I need to take off all of this, and this is going to be something that I have to do on over one frame. So because the foot, you'll notice I rotated it with the controllers, which is what you should do in my opinion. You should rotate the feet with these controllers when they're doing moves like this, because then you don't have to worry about the toe sliding. I have to fix this in one frame, which isn't a huge deal because it's something that's actually pretty fucking easy. You just have to make sure the spacing in your foot is okay, and it's one controller. It's not like hands where you have to worry about elbows and all that other shit. So it's actually a fairly easy solution. Now, my question is, why the hell is this foot here and then here? Oh, because he takes a step back? Oh, Jesus Christ, I don't remember. What the hell is the reference image? Oh, you know what? He totally does take a step back. Ha, my bad. Well, now I remember. Okay, so make sure that foot lands. So we'll actually get a little bit more toe point. Okay, so I've got that foot in the correct spot. This one isn't moving, so it can just stay there. The hips need to rotate up a little bit. So we can have up and then down. This should actually be up because he just landed on that hip. Then it should be up a little bit more. And then he lands. Then we can grab a COG. And again, looking at what just happened, he goes down into that leg, which means here I'm going to go about halfway. And that is not what I should do, but I'm just going to show you how I'm going to fix that. Comes up, comes down, should continue going up. So you can see it's like step, step, step. And that's a little bit too much translate Y. So I'm just going to minimize the translate Y. Minimize it a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit of rotate to the body. A little bit of rotate to the body. There we go. Alright, I'm still not worrying about the upper body. I'm just going to do the legs now. So from here to here. From here to here, it looks like both feet are taking a step. Now, I need to decide if I really want to do that. And if I did, which is exactly what I'm going to do, I think. Maybe I can keep this foot here. And we can just take the COG, slide it over a bit. Nope. You know why we can't do that? Because if you look at the way the feet are moving, this foot lands, and then it pulls back again. Doesn't make any sense. It has to be this foot. So I'm going to Control Z that, and we are going to keep the foot in that spot. So we need to add a key in the center, and I'm just going to take the whole body and move this over a bit, just to give myself some more room. I'm going to take the COG, drop a key, and if the body comes in from this way to there, that means that here it should continue going down and over, and this foot should already be in that position, so that you get that. And this is just for my breakdown pose of what's going to happen in between these two. So I can drop a key. There we go. I'm going to grab this whole thing again, move it over a couple. I'm going to go do another one in the center. And again, I'm doing just the feet. That's like the most important part. I'm doing just the feet and just the COG on this right now. I'm not even concerned about the upper body because the upper body reacts to the COG. So if we get the feet and the COG working, fuck the rest. So, now that we know that this foot's going to land and then this foot's going to come afterwards, now I can start with, oh, gotta add that key to it. So we grab that foot, add that key, and there, and there, and there, and there. And now I need to bring this foot back. So I can take that toe roll so that he gets a little bit of that push, get his COG about near the middle. Again, I hit the 50%, but I need to look at what happens beforehand. So he lands on that leg. He maybe comes down a little bit more. Oh, that's a little bit too much rotate. Rotate him that way. Rotate him down a little bit. Again, following my arcs. Bring him down a little. So he's going to actually drag his foot, which means I am not going to use that foot roll. Get his knee in the correct place for that center part right here. So we get his knee rotated in. We can pull it. I'm going to actually start to move this foot. So starting to pull back, we can rotate a little bit. And let's see, we'll rotate him on the ball of his foot. And I just want to play this and see how it feels right now. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Alright, so I've got my foot placement at the end. And now I'm going to worry about the rest of the body. So from here, again, looking at the whole thing as one, we're going to rotate that down a little bit more. What happens here? So I'm going to go to the middle. I'm going to hit my 50%, and we're just going to check what happens to the body throughout these poses. Now it looks like what I did was I dragged him behind a little bit, but I continued dragging him around. And I didn't think about what should be pulling. Because, see, he's about sideways, he's more sideways, and then here he kind of stops again. So that means that this needs to be rotated more this way, so that we don't have his shoulder doing a huge spatial pop. So it goes from there to there to there, and then at the next one, it's not moving very much. Again, we're thinking about it like I was with the COG earlier. Rotate that back a little bit more. This is a key pose that has to stay, so we can keep that. This one needs to rotate back, and the reason being is because his body's going forwards, so we need to rotate this in the direction that his body is going as a breakdown. And then the next one here will obviously rotate, obvious to me, will rotate forwards. So we've got back, and then a little bit of rotate here, so that he swings back into that motion. So you've got, if you play, it looks like here it should actually be all of this, and I wonder if I can do this with this rig. If I grab all of these controllers, so we'll grab that one and that one and that one, and I'll grab them all in world, and oh my god, it does. That's sweet. So if I play it, nice. I am amazed that worked. I did not think that would work by doing that in world mode. That usually doesn't, honestly. It's kind of funny that it did. Alright, I'm going to focus on the head now. Okay, I'm going to go to that middle pose, hit my 50%, and then I'm going to follow what the body is doing. Okay, so his head, it looks like it's facing forward here, and then I rotated it out to the side. I'm not going to do that. I want to keep him looking in that direction. Again, I rotated it to the side, again, for some stupid reason. Bring it back to the front. Keep it looking at the front. He's still looking at the front. Oh, I know why. I was having him look at his sword. Watching that there's no pops, and his head pops up here, so we need to rotate it back down. His head is popping up. We rotate it back down. Keep him looking down. Keep him looking down. Alright, go to our next one. Here, rotate his head up a little bit. Go to the next key, and we can rotate it up, but not too high up, because we don't want his head to look like it's a friggin' piece of spaghetti. There we go. Play that. Alright, that might even be too much movement at the end. I might actually end up making that a little bit smoother. The end piece is not something I'm entirely 100% concerned with, but I still might actually simplify it a little bit more. Once I simplify that out, I'll probably end up deleting keys and making things a little bit cleaner. I'm totally just rambling at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to go back to one of the swings. I want to start adding some keys on a couple of these swings because at the end I'm not in the mood for it at the moment. So I'm going to add my in-betweens for here to here. Now this move could work on its own. I might actually end up deleting a key that I add, but the only way I'm going to actually know is if I just do it now. So I'm going to bring this down. So I'm at frame 100 and only 100 because that seems to be the timing that I'm going with. Alright, now from here to here, I'm okay with that. I want to add a key in between those two. Alright, so from there to there. Now, how I do this, you got to remember what's leading the body. So if you look at, I'm going to drop my key. If you look at the COG in these poses, and we grab his motion path, look how high he moves up here, and then he drops down to here. That means in this swing, he's not going to be dead center. That will completely kill the movement in his swing. We need to get him already partway there, and then we need to add a little bit of an arc. So if you just zoom right in on that, and we can keep zooming in, hopefully, keep going, keep going, keep going, and we keep zooming in, we need to add that arc. And then here, we'll just continue. And then I'll rotate around to the side and make sure that it's not doing anything weird in that direction. And so far we're good. Okay. Now, I've got my COG and it translates okay, but its rotates need to be dragged behind a little bit more, and his chest really needs to be dragged behind. Not too much, because if we look at these two moves, there's not a lot of movement that happens in the chest, so I can start to bring it, let's see, I want to rotate that back a little bit more, and then here I'm going to start to rotate it forwards. You can't really see the difference now. There we go. I can see the difference in the body now. I'm looking at how much of the chest and then how much of the back we see. That's what I'm looking at, if you're wondering. So I can go to here, do my 50% on the head. I'm not too worried about the head in this move. There's very, very minimal on it at the moment, so I'm not too entirely worried about it. The shoulder. Now, I'm not going to get the shoulder 50%. I don't want the shoulder to get there right away. I want to bring that shoulder up, and yes, I am translating it because I want the spacing this shoulder to be the biggest. So I'm going to rotate that up a little bit more. I am going to take this arm. He is pulling this move with his elbow, as you can see. The elbow has the pop, the sword seems to stay. So here, we're going to pull it down with the elbow, and we're going to take his sword and rotate it in, and then trace the tip. So from the front, that works. From the side, now this jump that we have in the sword to this one, not working. That means that this one I'm going to have to change. So we'll just rotate that in. This one needs to come down just a little bit further. little bit further. Bring that. Rotate that in. This is where I want to have a smear on the sword. There we go. And then if we play this, we'll see if adding that one frame actually killed it or made it better. And I think it may have slowed it down, but you know what? I'm not going to worry about it yet. It's one frame that I spent very little time on. If I need to delete it, I delete it. And to me, that is the importance of doing it in stepped, because if I don't like it, I didn't spend very much time on it. So I'm not going to be butthurt. The other arm. This arm is very important. Now, I shot it back very quickly. And it seems to have frozen. So, we're going to get this part of the way. Get this part of the way. And then bring that out. That makes a little more sense. We can bring that in a little bit more, that in a little bit more. I'm thinking about dragging everything in this arm, and again, leading with that elbow. Dragging that hand behind a little bit. And then again, I can do my 50% on here, except on the rest of the arm, I already want it part way there. This one I want it part way there. And this one I want to drag that behind a little bit more. And already what I'm noticing is that this seems to be killing that momentum that I originally had. See, it's also slowing down right here, which is what I don't want. We can rotate that in a little bit more. That means this can go back a little bit more, and this can straighten out a little bit more. And this can go right out. And that can go right out. There we go. Play that and see how that arm feels. That's not bad, actually. I still might delete this frame. I'm not entirely fond of it. I kind of liked going from here straight to there. So I still might get rid of it, unless what I do is actually take this arm and actually just keep it higher up. Because that doesn't feel too bad either. I still have that impact. Now the other thing that I want to do is in between here, I'm going to throw a key right in the center of just 50%. And now is where I start doing the most confusing part to everybody who ever watches me do this in classes. I'm going to start doing my offset in stepped. So, what you need to remember, start at the goddamn feet and the COG. Now, at this point where he slashes forwards, the feet should be still. So, the feet are okay. Now, this one should already be very, very close to where it's going. The COG, and I'm not just looking at this one and these two, I'm looking at the whole thing. As the COG comes down, obviously it needs to keep going down and start to come up just a little bit. Now this is where I change my original key pose. I'm not even on that 50% one that I added, which I'm actually going to drop down just a little bit more. And then here, I might actually raise it up a little bit. So as you can see, now there is offset in the body. Natural offset just by changing the COG up. And you can see it in the rest of the body. The COG goes down and comes back up while everything else is staying down. So what I'm going to do with this arm now is I'm going to grab just the arm, not the shoulder. The shoulder is going to be pretty stiff. I'm going to scrub through. And here it should start to come up just a little bit more. And I'm going to leave it because I'm happy with that. This hand really whips around, which means here it should continue to whip around a little bit, and that elbow is going to overshoot a little. And then we've got a little bit of overshoot in the arm. Now there is a pop, but that is not final. That will be fixed. So I am going to fix that pop in a minute, but I'm continuing on the rest of the body first. So I'm going to scrub through the rest of this. Now his head finally comes down. His body is going up, which means his head needs to go down and his chest needs to go. Let's check. Here the chest goes down just a little bit more. And here I'm going to leave that. And again, what I'm going to do before I start that antic is I'm going to add another key. It is an exact copy of this one. Exact in every single way. There are no differences between these keys. This is also where it gets confusing. Not for me, I know what I'm doing, but anybody who has no idea. I'm going to take this, I'm going to move that over a little bit, just so this is in the middle, just for me personally. Now I'm going to 90% that. That is not final. I'm basically doing another in-between of an offset, of an original offset, of an original in-between, of a breakdown. That is confusing as balls, but whatever. So, the COG. Again, even though I just did a 90%, it's still going to hit that spot. I want to scrub through and make sure the COG is still doing what I want it to. And it is. I kind of want it to keep going up just a little bit more, like right about here. I might take, and I should do this in the graph editor actually. Go into the graph editor, grab this. I'm going to actually put this in auto tangent for a minute. And I'm going to raise this up just a little bit more. There we go. And that one can come up just a little bit more. And I'm going to put that back into steps. There, so now my COG continues going up. And now I can worry about the rest of the body. So the body comes down, starts to rise up. And actually, you know what? I want to keep that going down while this COG goes up. I kind of like that it looks like it's curling in on himself. It looks like he's breathing a little bit. His head comes down. I need to have it start to come up a little bit. So it looks like he just overshot, but now we want to have the overshoot here. I'm changing this up again, because again, I like to play it and watch the spacing. The head comes down, still goes down. And you know what? I am going to keep that move going down. Not too much though, so what I just did, I'm going to fix a little bit. This arm, again, because there is that pop, I want this to start coming in, and I want this hand to lag behind a little bit. It overshoots a little. Bam. There's a little bit of a pop right there. Okay, so from here to here to here, that should straighten out a little bit more. That should still be backwards a little bit. I am adjusting original keys, but that is okay, because it is for the best. And this one should start to come in a little bit, and that one should start to go in a little bit more. All this work on one frickin' hand. There we go. So, now I can work on the other arm. Now the other arm isn't going to have a lot of movement on it, because that sword is just on the ground. I don't want to have a lot of movement on it. The majority of all this motion should come from just him. I'm not worrying too much right now about animating secondary stuff like this, rotating a little bit and belts and grenades and stuff. I actually do that all in the very end. I like to have it done when the animation is done, or I like to do it when the animation is done. That way I know that nothing is going to change. Same with crashing going on in these belt pouches. There's no point in fixing this right now, because for me personally, because it's not a work shot, it's a personal shot, for me, if I decide to change something, I'm just going to have to go back and adjust these. So I would rather do clothing stuff when the shot is 100%. That way I don't have to redo anything when it's done. That is also why I tell people to always leave your hair and lip sync till last, because if you end up having to change something, breakdown inception, if you end up having to change something, you're completely screwing yourself, because you just did all of that lip sync to camera, but now you have to turn your head more to the right, and now you're not going to see any of the special lip stuff that you did. So there's no sense in doing it. That's why you should always leave your lip sync to last. Nobody seems to believe me on that one. They always do it. They're like, well, I had to get the lip sync done. It was due. Like, doesn't matter. Finish your acting first. Jesus. Okay, so we have another swing. Now, our antic, I need to do a breakdown into this antic. So what we're going to do is actually take this key, and just because I like to work on twos, oh, that can actually stay there. No, it cannot. I apparently can't count. I'm going to not confuse myself again. I'm going to drop a key, and we're going to look at the rest of the body and start moving him into that antic. Now I want him to start off slow. Again, have a little bit of an arc in the COG. Anybody who has been in my classes should know right now that this is the exact same as the jumping off the gap. That it should be that antic before the body goes forwards. So I also need to watch this foot, because that foot stops moving, and that is bad. Very bad. It should all be in the toe. Watching the foot. Bring that back. Let's get some more toe in there. See how now it looks like he's actually pushing off, and that's because we're bending the foot. We're going from straight to bent to straight. So that's what's going to sell that push off. Now I can take that foot and start to ease him into that move. And actually, you know what? I'm not going to ease him into it. I'm just going to get him right into it. So it's like he's putting all of that weight on his foot. And actually, that's wrong because it's reacting before the COG gets there. The importance to starting with your COG first. Now the hips. Alright. The chest. Let's see. Let's put him on the 50% for now. This is a move that is controlled, so I'm going to rotate him down and around a little bit like he's pulling with this arm. I'm going to take all three of these controls. I'm going to 80% them. I'm going to straighten out that sword a little bit more so it looks like it just peeled right off the ground. And again, watching the tip, because that is the most important part with this sword. It was here. We can straighten that out just a little bit more. Bring that around. Ooh, that's right through the ground. That shouldn't be. This is also really, really, really gross. Don't like this move. Let's just bring that in. You know what? I'm going to grab all three of these again. I'm going to hit 50% again because they're just not working for me. I need to have a little bit more of a breakdown on this sword. There we go. I'm okay with that. A little bit of drag on his head. Oh. A little bit of drag. Now for this arm. I haven't done the shoulders yet, if anybody has noticed that. We're going to drag that a little bit. We're going to drag that a little bit. We're going to drag that a little bit. And we're actually going to keep the hand down because of what it does next. Alright, the shoulders I'm just going to hit 50% on. This one I'm actually going to lessen it a bit. And I'm going to key the whole body. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stop in 25 minutes because that's pretty much enough for me after that. Now we've got that antic. Then he shoots off and he goes into this move. Now I need to add one more in here. So we're going to go right to the center. Again, I'm going to key the foot, key the foot, key the knee, key the knee, key the hips, key the COG. I'm going to save once more. Save as. And get the COG in the correct spot. So hit my 50%. Get my arc in there. Paying attention to my feet. This foot foot should already be more than halfway. Should be about there, because it really shot off the ground. I can take all of this garbage out. Now, which way is the foot landing? I should rotate that around and bring that up. Remember, our feet are lazy, like very lazy. If you actually watch somebody walking, they barely take their feet up off the ground. Now, this shouldn't be that much drag, because if there's that much drag, then it's not going to make sense that the foot is landing. You want to make sure that you don't drag it so much that it looks like you're zombie footing, because that foot does know that it is going to land at a certain point, so you kind of want to have some control over it. Where is that one? It's that one. Get that toe in there. Now I want that toe to be looking like it's getting ready to land on that spot. Oh, that's ugly. The texture pops out like a tongue, unless his feet actually have tongues, which would be super creepy. Oh no, it's just broken texture. Okay, whatever. This foot can be starting to have some toe roll on it because it is going to come off of the ground next. As you can tell. See? Ooh. It's almost like that foot kicks the other one forwards. So remember, one foot has to land before the other foot moves. That's why I have this. Okay? Let me grab that. We've got to move in between here. I'm going to hit my 50% just because I don't remember what's happening between these two. I'm going to drag them down a little bit more. I'm going to drag them down a little bit more here still. I'm going to get those hips in the correct spot. And his head needs a little bit of drag to it. We're going to get his hands in this arm completely 50%. Actually, you know what? We're not going to, because what I want to do is have him continue to bring this back and this back, and this part back, so it looks like he's going backwards and then forwards with the sword, I mean. And we're not going to do too much breakdown on the arm, because if we do, again, he's going to get spaghetti arms. This is the last thing I want with him. When you are animating somebody who is swinging a sword and they're supposed to be in control, the last thing you want to do is have their arms too loose. So always keep, for me, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're holding a sword and you're swinging at something, the last thing you're going to do is let your elbow go loose, and you're not going to let your wrist go loose, because the minute you let your wrist go loose and you actually hit somebody with that sword, the odds of the sword either flying out of your hands or you breaking your wrist are very, very exact, I guess, would be the right word. But anyways, whenever you're swinging with something, your hands and your elbows are usually stiff. You are going to straighten out a little bit, but it's not going to be so straight that, like, your arm is straight out. I realize how badly worded that was. I am still learning how to talk. This arm is not swinging, so it can do whatever the shit it wants. Bring that back. Start to bring that forwards. Start to bring that back a little bit more. This is an area where I can really break that arm. This should just start flying forwards. And I gotta watch the pops. This can come forwards more. Bring that backwards just a little bit more. There we go. So we can continue. There we go. Alright. We got that foot coming forwards. I want to have one more in between here. So I'm actually going to slide those over. I'm going to take all of this, slide it over. I'm going to add one more in between here. And this one that I'm going to do is actually just a 50%, because this is pretty much already done. Except what I'm going to do is after I do that 50%, I'm going to get the COG 80, I'm going to get the chest a little bit behind, I'm going to get the head a little bit more behind. I want this arm to already be in that correct spot, minus a little bit on that part, and a little bit less on the shoulder. Ooh, too much on the chest. There we go. That other arm might have to have a little bit of an overshoot. Yeah, a little bit of an overshoot. And because that comes back, this must come forwards. There we go. And once you start animating on twos, I actually prefer twos. Like sometimes I just want to do this in stepped on twos and just leave it like that. I don't even want to hit fucking auto tangent. I just want to leave it this way. Because to me it looks way cooler. I kind of like the fact that it's, I don't know, to me it looks pretty good. So there's not much work left to do to this. So I'm actually going to just play blast this. I'm going to save it and I am going to call it quits. Save this. And let's just do a play blast of it right like this view right here. Maybe? Let's see. Yeah, we can go a little bit closer. We can hit play blast. Let's do it as 21. Quality, yeah, 50% scale, and play blast. I am going to be uploading the play blasts of this shot, so I'm going to go to every single version, like the layout, the revisions of layout, and then breakdowns, and then more breakdowns, and then more breakdown. I'm going to put all of these up on Vimeo at one point, but so far, just for twos, that's what we have so far. Now, if you look, I don't know how well this plays in YouTube for you guys looking at stuff. I want you to look at the back right hand, the one that isn't holding the sword in the middle, and tell me if you notice anything weird about it. And if you do, please write it, because I can see it. It's driving me nuts, and it's exactly what I told everybody who was listening to this not to do with this, and I did it. So if you notice it, say something. Yeah, so thanks for watching, the 10 of you. Who wants to hit auto tangent ever? Nobody, because it just ruins everything. That actually plays really nicely in YouTube. I am blown away. You're hilarious, Arturo. So yeah, thanks you guys. I think I'm just going to stick to YouTube from now on. It's way quicker. Like, way quicker. And it seems to have less lag. I really wanted to try Beam, but screw Beam. Yeah. So, thanks guys. I'll let you guys all know when the next one is. Yeah, Abe, if you're still here, I'm probably going to be bugging you about drawing a banner for me, if you wouldn't mind, because that would be sweet.